Let's talk about the hoax of Jesus' bloodline and how one Frenchman fooled the world. Hey guys, it's John sitting here in my studio with a fabulous glass of iced tea. It is a beautiful summer day outside. It's in the high 70s right now, going up into the low 80s today. Just a beautiful breeze coming in my window, and I'm absolutely thoroughly enjoying the temperature today. Not hot or sweltering like it has been recently. And what if I told you that the famous story of Mary Magdalene going to France and raising Jeshua's children there was an absolute 100% fabrication, a modern hoax created by a Frenchman in the 20th century? Let's talk about this bizarre story of Pierre Plantard, the man behind the Holy Blood, the Holy Grail, and the Da Vinci Code. You know, a lot of people are fascinated with the idea of Jeshua having children. And this story of going to France and having them there really was less about factual evidence and more about some narcissistic person trying to make himself important. In Hinduism, they believe that Jeshua and Mary Magdalene came back to India and raised children and died there. So, I mean, there are always these stories of Jeshua having children and that bloodline going on. Well, bloodline was very important back in the day. We look at the royals of today and the bloodlines traveling through. The idea of Jeshua having children and is mentioned in this book, The Holy Blood, the Holy Grail, which was written in 1982, the year I graduated high school. And then later on, the Da Vinci Code used that book to popularize the idea and made a wonderful movie. Both the book and the film made millions and millions of dollars for their authors and their producers. The problem really came when they realized that the source of the book and the film were not based in ancient scrolls at all. It was a man named Pierre Plantard. You know, in the 1940s and 50s, he was a French draftsman and a mystic with a love for secret societies and conspiracies. So he was a conspiracy theorist of the 50s and into the 60s. And when he died, it was actually not that long ago. In 1956, he founded a little group called the Priory of Sion, which, if you remember the movie, they talk about the Priory of Sion and this secret society. Well, the Priory of Sion originally was just a small fringe club that had nothing to do with ancient history. Pierre Plantard, as his group grew, his own self-importance grew, and he decided he wanted to weave this narrative that he was something bigger and more important. And he began weaving this tale of being the heir to the Holy Bloodline himself. The concept of him being the heir was the basis of all of these documents. But what's interesting is the documents known as the secret dossiers from the 1960s. Plantard and his associates created fake genealogies claiming Jeshua and Miriam had children, and they supposed the descendants intermarried with the Merovingian kings of France. And then Plantard himself claimed he was the last living heir of this line. To make his story credible, he planted forged documents, known as the secret dossiers of Henri de Lobenu, in the French National Library. This way, researchers would discover them and think they've stumbled upon ancient truth. British authors Michael Bygent, I think is the way you say his name, Richard Lee, and Henry Lincoln stumbled upon these dossiers. They believed the story to be an ancient truth and published Holy Blood, Holy Grail in 1982. In that book, it claimed the Priory of Sion was a 1,000-year-old order guarding Jeshua's descendants. The book sold like crazy. It was a sensation, but the historians quickly criticized it as thin on real evidence. There was no real evidence presented in the book. It was simply this simple story. Over time, the story got a little bit more and more unbelievable, and then it started to become a little bit of a conspiracy itself. In 1993, Plantard inserted himself into a French political scandal by naming Roger Patrice Palat, a friend of President Mitterrand, as a Grand Master of the Priory. This drew attention of authorities, and police raided Plantard's home in 1993, where they found forged documents and proof of his fake bloodline. Under interrogation, Plantard confessed he invented the priory, he forged the genealogy, he lied about being a descendant of Jesus, and the French courts officially dismissed the priory as a hoax. So after this, Plantard himself faded into obscurity and died in the year 2000. But his hoax had a second life when Dan Brown, the author, decided to take the Holy Blood, Holy Grail storyline and turned it into the movie, The Da Vinci Code, and in creating this idea of this bloodline of Jesus. And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com. Psychics, mediums started talking about the bloodline in France and all of these stories of how she traveled to France, and they were drawing in the information that was being presented in the atmosphere of these films, and it was suddenly becoming the spiritual truth of readers. Well, that's because that's part of the subconscious mind. They're picking it up from the society around them. But the irony of the whole thing is the world's most popular secret history started with one man's forgery. One man deciding that he wanted to become more important and created an idea that he himself was the sole heir of Jeshua and Miriam. In the world, people crave mysteries about Jeshua because Jeshua was an amazing man who had an incredible story, but he was showing us our divinity. And institutional religion often hides the simple truth. Plantard's hoax is proof of how easy it is to sell stories when people are searching for hidden meaning. But Jeshua's real teaching wasn't about secret bloodlines. It was about the power within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, right here, right now. When you start listening to the secret bloodlines and even the old age dogmas and the new age dogmas, understand that's not Jeshua's teachings. The concepts of vegetarianism being a part of his teachings, absolutely a new age dogma. And I've done videos on that in the past, how the new age ideologies of vegetarianism come out of the Theosophical Society, and two other fraudulent documents, the Gospel of the Holy 12 and the Essene Gospel of Peace, both proven frauds. Jeshua's teachings was all about what comes out of your mouth is what creates the world. What you believe, what you think, what your faith is. When asked what diet they should follow, Jeshua said, "It's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, but what comes out. It's the present moment world is a collection of energy. It's the atomic energy that we have, science has spotted it. We know that 85 to 90% of what we're looking at is empty space, and the rest is an energy event in motion. That said, this is just energy, and within this motion of energy, there is nothing in this energy that we need. It is literally just an emotional reflection of ourself. And so there is no doctrine or dogma or technique or diet to follow. It's a matter of being the essence of choosing to be love. Be love. Be love in the now. And don't get lost chasing these dogmas and doctrines and stories to try to make sense of it. Just be love in the present. If you start going down the rabbit holes of conspiracies, you'll find plenty of them. I one time quoted Gandhi, and someone came back, well, I just saw a thing online that said Gandhi was a racist and we should never listen to Gandhi. I said, search Jesus as a racist. And they searched Jesus as a racist, and they found websites about Jesus being a racist. The conspiracies are all out there, but they're all mired in the self-importance of somebody else who's getting something out of the conspiracy. The truth is here. The truth is now. The truth is present, and you don't need anything outside of yourself. And you don't need to prove ancient storylines and bloodlines that people themselves have been trying to interject themselves into for centuries. Even the Apostle Paul, he never met Jeshua in life, but he claimed to have a vision on the road to Damascus that said that he was the one and only way. And so Christianity is really Paulianity because it's based upon the New Testament, which is majority written by Paul. These conspiracies go on. None of them matter. None of the doctrines or dogmas of religion or ideologies, be they new age or old, matter. It only matters is who are you in this moment? And what are you believing in this moment? And are you delivering the fruits of love, or are you delivering the fruits of fear? And if you break free of the cycle of fear, you come to know the infinite more fully. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.